Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. We've got a great event planned today. We're going to be talking about the top social media and online marketing tools that just about every marketer out there could find value in. My name is Brad Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of Barker Marketing. We're a full-service marketing agency that really focuses in online marketing in the digital space. We help companies get the most out of their web presence and drive people and drive business through online outlets. Joining me on today's call is Tony Wiechek, our Director of Marketing here at Barker. Tony's worked with both big and small corporations, brings some great perspective to today's conversation. And also on the line is Brad Biley, one of our social media marketing advisors. Brad works closely with billion-dollar companies and startups, outsourcing all of their social media marketing efforts. So Brad is in the trenches and doing all of this great social work each and every day. He's living, breathing, using these tools, and he's brought some great insight here on what's most effective for everyone on today's call. So let's jump in and take a look at our agenda for today. We're going to look at some top online tools, and there's no shortage of tools out there. There's a lot at our disposal. Okay, some are better than others. We could have spent probably a full day covering all of the vast arrays of tools available out there to you, but we narrowed this down from hundreds to just several, and we've broken it into sections. And first and foremost, to have a great online presence, you need great content, right? You need a great message. You need to get that message in front of the right people. So we're going to spend the first part of today's webinar on creating content. What's most important to your audience, how to find out what's working and what isn't, and where you go to kind of source this content. Where do you go for ideas? Then we're going to talk a little bit about creating graphics. Graphics, as you'll see, are extremely important at driving engagement and building awareness. Okay, what we don't want you to do is go out there on Google and other places and steal graphics. It's going to get you in some hot water. There are some tools out there that you can use to create them for free or for very limited resources, but they turn out stunning and they look great and they give your social posts so much more visibility. Then we're going to talk about tools to help you automate some of your social media marketing efforts. What we often find is that people are engaged on social media and engaged online at off hours, outside of business hours. Now, unless you want to be sitting on your couch at night and working feverishly on getting your marketing messages out at certain times of the night, there's a better way to do it. So we're going to walk through how to schedule posts. We're going to introduce some of the tools that we use here internally and some tools that our clients use and give you some pros and cons. Then we're going to wrap up by talking about something called remarketing. We've all been exposed to it, whether or not we know it, but it's a very impactful tool and approach to reaching your audience online that everyone should be using. And last but not least, we're going to cover email marketing. Okay, this is kind of the forgotten tool, or the tool that some people have abandoned. Unfortunately, if you've abandoned it, you've lost a great way to reach a big audience for little to no time at all. It's very effective. There's research that supports it. It's even effective for the millennial audience. And then we'll also answer your questions. So when you registered for this webinar, we always ask, what's your biggest marketing challenge? And we just love to hear from our audience what your biggest challenges are. When we're talking with our clients, when we're talking with local businesses, we're always asking that question. What is your biggest business challenge? What are your biggest marketing challenges? Where are the roadblocks? Because we're big proponents in helping companies overcome those and do things more efficiently. So here are some of the questions that we got this time around. Are there any analytics tools out there so that we can measure results? Where can I go to get good photos? And I think this question went on to say that don't cost an arm and a leg, because photos can get really expensive. We get this question all the time. We got it here and we get it all the time. Can I just go grab an image off of Google and use it? What's your favorite scheduling tools? What's the best day and time to post my updates and my content? That's a biggie that we get all the time. And then another question, is there a tool that I can use to look at my online presence and see if I'm doing the right things? And we're going to cover all of these in today's presentation and more. So, Tony, I want to ask you, why should people really care about these social media tools? What are they going to get out of using some of these?
Yeah, no, thanks, Brad. I think that's a great question, and there's obviously a lot of information we're going to go over here, and people are going to be listening and think, well, what is this going to do for me? What is this going to do for my organization? And in a nutshell, we've kind of outlined some of the main highlights of what some of these tools can do for you, and it's achieving professional results. It's maybe not being a digital expert, so to speak, but being able to achieve some of the results of other people, of other companies, of other posts that you see out there through some of these tools. The tools we're going to go over are going to help you facilitate your planning of social media posts and digital marketing. They're going to save your organization time and money because of the planning aspects, because of the ability to take someone who's maybe not an expert in some of these things and have them use these tools and put out professional results. And it's going to automate the activity. So again, as part of that planning purpose, what these tools will do is help you schedule ahead of time. Take the free time that you have and schedule some of your marketing, a week or 2 weeks in advance, and make that process simpler and more automated. And in the end, really in a nutshell, you take these 4 aspects, and they're going to help you work smarter and not harder when it comes to your digital marketing. And, we all have a lot on our plates. Organizations are always trying to get more done with less resources. Some of these tools and some of the things we're going to go over will certainly help you achieve those goals.
Yeah, definitely. And digital marketing is a great way to reach a wide audience. Okay, this allows you to reach your A, your B, your C, your D prospects all at the same time. You can focus your direct sales efforts and your direct marketing efforts on those A's and B's, but these tools will help you get those C's and D's further into the sales funnel so that you have a higher likelihood of closing those people and staying in front of those people with a really professional image. So our first section, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about creating content. Okay, for marketing as a whole, it's all about your content. It's all about your messaging. And does your message resonate with the audience and evoke an emotional response? So why is creating content so important? Why is getting that message out? Well, it's going to achieve a few things. And I absolutely love this quote. And starts off with, people buy from those that they trust. So right off the bat, content, if it's effective and engaging, it's going to help you build trust. It's going to give people that warm and fuzzy feeling about you. It's going to make them feel like you're genuine. You're not just out for their business. You're out to make an impact for them. Great content also builds engagement. So the goal of marketing isn't just to get our message in front of people, but it's to get people to engage with that content, to engage with our brand, to take the next step in that sales cycle. It's going to make your sales way more effective. I mentioned earlier it's a great way to reach those C and D prospects that you can't be in front of all the time. It's one to many. So if you do things correctly, if you schedule your activities out and if you build your network, you're going to reach a whole wide array of people that you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach with your normal sales outreach efforts. And last but not least, it's going to help you generate more inbound leads. That's the holy grail, right? Wouldn't it be great if you could just kind of sit back and your phone would ring off the hook? We want to get to that point. Okay, we don't want to abandon all of our other sales and marketing efforts, but we want to get to a point where those inbound leads really supplement everything else that we're doing and keep us moving in the right direction, keep adding revenue to the bottom line, keep making things way more profitable. And if you create great content, that's really the core. Okay, we're going to get that out through various marketing channels and mediums, but we're going to position ourselves as a vendor that people trust. We're going to build engagement, and we're going to drive action. And all this can be started with great content. But in order for content to be great, you have to make sure it resonates with your audience. So our first few tools are really going to help make sure that you're producing the right kind of content, that your message is on track. So Brad, if you don't mind, walk through some of the tools that you use when you're going out and you're developing a strategic content plan or strategy for your clients. How do you find out what the end audience is really interested in, and how do you build that content strategy?
First tool that I really like to look at is Answer the Public, and that's available at answerthepublic.com. Essentially what it does is takes a keyword string that you put into their search bar, you select your country, the United States, and then this gentleman on the screen, the seeker, goes out and shows you all of Google's related search strings based on your keyword. So if you're a contractor in the Buffalo area and you're thinking about putting together a blog post like 7 tips to consider when picking a contractor, when finding a contractor. While finding a contractor is a strong keyword, you might see on this right-hand side where we have some other related searches that were displayed for us. You might find that finding a framing contractor works better, or finding a bathroom contractor works better. You'll see what other people are already searching for on Google, and then you can prepare content to answer their questions. You can be a resource for that end audience just because you're already seeing what questions are available.
Yeah, that's great. And you don't even have to type in a question into this tool. You can just type in a keyword, whether it's auto sales or whether it's radiology or whether it's whatever the term is, whatever your business does and your business offers. Type that term in and see how people are searching for that. See what questions they're asking. If you can answer those questions, you're going to be seen as trustworthy. You're going to be seen as an expert, and you're going to be one of the first companies that people reach out to when they're looking to find an answer to those questions.
The second tool that I like to look at to see what's already working well for my specific audience is Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website, it's a must-have. What you can do with Analytics is separate it by your blog string. So whatever your URL to get to your blog is, you can actually see the individual page views on a blog article. So say you put together a 6-month content plan and you're looking at revisiting that after 6 months to see what worked and what didn't. The blog post that generated the most traffic, you should consider making more blog content about those topics. The articles that didn't resonate well, maybe scale back on those in the upcoming 6 months, or maybe rephrase them into different A/B testing. So if it was why not to do something, maybe look at why you should do something. But Google Analytics is a concrete sign of what content was viewed on your website, so you can use that to your advantage when you go forward and you make content strategies in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. We're big proponents of continually testing and looking at data and making better marketing decisions and really better business decisions. So use all the tools, use all the data, use all the resources available to you so that you can be more strategic in how you market and what content you produce. Creating content takes time. And what you don't want to do is create content that nobody cares about. Okay, so use these tools like Answer the Public, like Google Analytics, to first find out what people are interested in, okay, and then 2, to make sure that your content is performing well. And when you do hit on a topic that really performs well, as Brad said, build more of those types of articles. Why do you want to be doing this? Why do you want to be blogging? Why do you want to be writing articles? Why do you want to be adding all of this content to your website and sharing it out through social media and other tools? Well, quite simply, it works. Okay. In this example on the left, this is a client that we're writing content for. Their target audience are speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, school psychologists. So they're trying to reach a very educated audience. They're trying to reach people who are busy. They're trying to reach people who have very specific information that they're looking for. We've done the research, we've done the background, and we know what that audience is interested in because we've used some of these tools and we're constantly testing. And on the right, you see this chart. This is page views to their website. So in just over a year, we've been able to increase overall website traffic by 300%, more than 300%. just by generating great content, knowing what the target audience is interested in, and looking at ways to get that message in front of more people. So point blank, this works. Creating content works. Get in the habit of becoming a content engine. Ask your clients, ask your prospects what they care about, what their interests are, what their biggest challenges are. Build content around solving those problems, and you're going to attract them to your site. Now, the key in content really is original content. Okay? Especially if you're looking to rank well in search engines, you need good, clean, original content. Okay? But that can be hard to produce. It's time consuming, it takes a lot. Now, we have a team of 50 writers that write content for our clients, so they've outsourced that. But if you're doing this internally, it's hard to pump out great content day after day, week after week, month after month. So what you can also do, especially in your social media strategy, is look at what we call curating content. Okay, so there's a lot of great content out there. You probably run across a lot of great articles about your industry, your products or services or advancements, or even just general business-related information that you find valuable and your customers and your clients and your prospects would probably find valuable too. The challenge is if you're just going out there looking for this stuff and you're going into Google and you're searching for a term, it can be pretty time consuming. It's kind of like panning for gold. You're going to get a whole lot of garbage and you're looking for that one little nugget that's valuable. The one little nugget of content or information that's really going to be relevant to your audience. So don't go that approach. Okay? Don't just go out to Google and type in a word and hope that you find something. There's better tools that you can use to really source and find that information. So Brad, I'm going to kick it back to you. We've got two what I think are awesome tools for finding out what's really that good nugget of content that you can share.
With BuzzSumo, you can see what content is being shared across social media in a very quick and efficient way. So say on every Friday on your Facebook page, you want to share some localized content. You can come into BuzzSumo and just search for Buffalo, New York, and it's going to show you over the most recent, actually you can filter by date on the left-hand side there, so we filtered by the past year for the example. You can see what content was shared the most across Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Then when you go to repurpose that content, you're sure that you're sharing content that is already working on that specific platform to an audience that's already engaged with that content. And like Brad said, you're not wasting your time looking for a blog post that people might like. You're a part of the conversation. You're sharing good, high-quality content that people are enjoying, they're engaging with, and they want to continue consuming. So BuzzSumo is an awesome way to look up different location-specific content. If you want to speak about your specific industry and maybe share some healthcare news, you can use this tool to really refine what's working well on social and then share it out across your own channels.
Great. And then, yeah, Brad, another one I was just going to say is Feedly. Sorry to interrupt.
You're fine. Yeah, Feedly is another great tool, and it lets you put an RSS feed together into one master. So every blog has what's known as an RSS feed. You can combine multiple blogs so that instead of going to places like from the healthcare industry, Modern Healthcare, Healthcare News, or even the healthcare division on Forbes, instead of going to each of those blogs and looking for one piece of content that you really like, you can put them all together into one massive condensed version of those blogs. So you're looking at one gigantic feed of all that content. It's a great way to put it all into one specific location so you don't have to go out across all those channels and look at different content, just one really specific place to find all the content that matters to you.
Yeah, huge time saver. And internally here for Barker Marketing and for our clients, we use Feedly to put together these just extensive spreadsheets that target specific profiles of customers that we're trying to market to for our clients. So we think about the resources that they look at. We look at industry trade publications, magazine sites, news outlets. We pull that into one central place. It makes planning out that content strategy so much easier and so much more effective, because we're looking at what articles are already getting the most engagement, what topics are already getting the most engagement, what's resonating. So two awesome tools. So thank you, Brad. The next tool that we have on the list here is Pinterest, and before I turn it over to Tony, I got to say that I kind of have this love-hate relationship with Pinterest. My wife loves it, and I hate it. The reason I hate it, though, is kind of selfish. My wife is always out there looking for new home decorating tips, new fashion, new really things that she wants to buy, and she's tagging those on her Pinterest wall so she can remember them later. It's actually good for me when the holidays or birthday or anniversary come around because my shopping list is already created for me. But it's an interesting way that people are using this tool to really pinpoint what they're interested in and what you should be informed about. So Tony, sorry to interrupt there, but walk us through how Pinterest applies here for marketing professionals.
Yeah, no, and that's a great example, what you just shared about your wife. I mean, people are on there all the time posting content, particularly things that they find appealing or eye-catching. It's a very visual platform, and my guess would be, even if the people on this call have not used Pinterest for business purposes, that they're all somewhat familiar with the layout, or at least familiar with Pinterest itself, the name itself. And I would definitely recommend checking it out from a business standpoint and curating content, because if you look at some of the numbers, Pinterest has 176 million registered users. There are a billion boards divided among those users, and there are 50 billion Pinterest pins. So it's a ton of content. We did a quick search just for this example here on desserts, and you get all kinds of amazing images and amazing articles and things that if desserts would apply to your business, you could certainly borrow some of the photos and use those as part of your content. Every day there's 14 million articles pinned, so you can keep checking back every single day, and you're just going to come up with more and more content and photos that are out there to use.
Yeah, so use Pinterest almost kind of like a search engine. So go out there and type in what you're interested in. See what the public is posting. Go out and connect with your customers if they have a Pinterest account. See what they're posting, see what they're interested in. It's going to give you some real keen insight into what their emotional drivers are, and then you can use that for your messaging, for your posting, for your content, even on sales calls, right? So instead of just picking up and cold calling, okay, have some a nice little banter back and forth about what they're interested in. Great tool. And another one, Tony, if you don't mind, Sniply.
Yeah, Sniply, the great thing about Sniply is that it really allows you to share some of that content that you've gathered, but you're still able to promote yourself, your business, get links back to your website, with a call to action. You can see kind of a generic example here on the side, but a call to action that will bring people back to your site, which is really one of the keys. You want to bring them back to the hub of your digital marketing, which is your website. You do this by overlaying your own logo or information or call to action onto a piece of content that you've shared. And it's not anything that you're saying you own as far as the content, but you're able to attach your name to that content. And if you're posting something, obviously the goal will be to post something that your audience wants to see and is interested in. Well, then they are going to associate your brand and your name with that content, and again, hopefully come back, check out your site, see what you have to offer, and associate that with what you've posted. So there's a lot of value there for your organization that wouldn't necessarily be there if you were just simply sharing links or taking articles from outside vendors and posting them. This allows you to attach your name and yourself to that content.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes that we see in social media marketing and in online marketing is people sharing other companies' content. Okay, I mentioned earlier, original content is key, but if you're not producing that original content, you're sharing other people's content. Without this tool, all you're doing is driving traffic to somebody else's website. Are they ever going to come back and find you? Probably not. Okay, so if you are sharing other people's content, use Sniply as a way to keep your brand on top of that content. Okay, the call to action on that piece of content is to come back to your website, not stay at their website. So really, really cool tool. And Brad, we've just started kind of implementing this for a lot of our clients. It's a newer tool that we've come across and are using. So far, what's the experience been?
Yeah, the experience is pretty positive. We're seeing that people are coming back to the original website to follow up as that call to action and displays at the bottom. And really, if you want to think about it as an example, if you're an independent contractor and you're sharing information from another blog and that's driving somebody back to another contractor's website, why would they ever pick up the phone and call you? They now have a contact form right there. They might forget even where they got that content from. While you're sharing a great resource and you're being helpful to people, they might not remember where they initially found that piece of content. So adding in something like Sniply at the bottom where they can now get driven back to your homeland, it's an excellent tool and a great way to continue engaging your audience, but also keeping your branding in the forefront.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so that's content. Key to your social media marketing efforts. Try to create as much original content as possible. Fill in the gaps with some curated content. Now let's take a step over to graphics. And pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? So what we find in social and online marketing is that pictures are really, really important. If you want to get your message across, if you want your message to show up in front of more people's eyes, and if you want people to engage with your content, you need strong, compelling images, strong, compelling graphics to go along with it. Tony, you found these statistics, and I've seen hundreds similar to it. So walk through why images are so important.
Yeah, and generally speaking, some great graphics make your content more attractive and more memorable, and your audience is definitely more likely to engage with visual content as versus non-visual. And just looking at a couple quick statistics here, anytime you see percentages in the 90s, it's something that you probably need to pay attention to. And the graphic on the left states that 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual. So when you come across just a stunning photo or a stunning graphic that you can include within your social post, that's going to make an impact on somebody when they see that, and they're going to be more likely to remember that and to know who it came from and to go back to that site and to just engage with that post. And then the statistic on the right, 94% content with relevant images get 94% more views than content without. And people pay attention. People see a beautiful photo, again, a great graphic, they're going to pay more attention. They're going to take a look at what you're trying to say. A lot of times, and most people on this call can probably relate, maybe you're looking at your Facebook feed or different social media platforms and you see something without a graphic, it just kind of blends in and you're more likely to skip over and not even really pay attention. It's the graphics that catch your eye. So we definitely encourage you to look to create and include graphics in your posts and in your marketing.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when they think about graphics, think that they have to have a full-time designer on staff. They get scared away because they don't have Photoshop or Photoshop skills. We're going to walk through some tools that anyone can use to create really nice looking graphics. Now, will they be 100% as good as somebody that is great with Photoshop? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, but they're good enough to make sure that you have a very professional look and feel and drive more results from your content. So the first one, Tony, Unsplash.
Yeah, Unsplash is great. It's an online photo database. It's something that you can join for free. And there's thousands of photos in there that you can search for based on different subjects, whatever you might be looking for your post. Very high quality, and you can use all the photos for free without any kind of credit. You don't have to source it or credit it. And Unsplash, prides himself on continually adding photos every week or so. So they promise at least 10 more high-quality photos every 10 days. But there's quite a lot of nice imagery available on this website. And again, you look at these photos that we've taken here, and these are things that are going to capture your audience's eye. as versus just posting a headline with some text. You know, these are the things that are going to get their attention and engage them a little bit more with your brand.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare everybody on this call, but we get this question or see this all the time where companies say, oh, I just found an image on Google and I put it up there. Well, that's going to get you into some legal trouble, and it's going to catch up with you at one point. Two big players in the image arena, Shutterstock and Getty Images, are very aggressive at going after companies that are using images illegally. By going after companies that just pull an image off of Google and use it for commercial purposes. We've had several companies that we've worked with that ran into these issues. And we're talking thousands of dollars in legal fees, fines, copyright issues. Don't do it. Use a tool like this. Yeah, you might be using a more limited, you might have a more limited access to different types of photos, but use tools like this where you have rights to use the image and you're not stealing it to keep yourself out of that hot water. Another tool that we like is Pablo, and Brad, you use this one pretty frequently.
Pablo is very similar to Unsplash in the sense that the images that are within their database can be used for your social sharing images. What sets it apart is that you can also add your branding and text to that image. So if you are creating some sort of social sharing image and you want to add a nice message to it, I think that you should do that, and you also should add your branding to every image so that when it is shared, your branding is front and center. Pablo is a great tool that's offered by Buffer, which we'll get into in a little bit, and it's completely free, and it lets you create a really stunning image with that text and branding.
Great, thanks. Another one that we like is one called SparkPost. This is actually part of the Adobe suite. So if you do have an Adobe Creative license, this is part of that. There's also a scaled back free version. And most of the tools that we mentioned here today have both a completely free version and a paid version. And for the purposes on this call and to get your feet wet, the free version of all these tools works just fine for the time being. But what this does is lets you put text very easily over top of some really, really nice images. So look at that image in the middle, 20 cocktail recipes. That photo in and of itself would be fine to post on social, but just adding that little bit of text creates that really professional feel, makes it look really good, really polished. So SparkPost is a really nice tool. You can use it both on mobile and desktop, which is nice. So if you're doing things from your phone, you can adjust images right there. So really nice tool. And then another one, Brad, for Instagram specifically is Layout.
With Layout, I like the fact that you can combine multiple photos into one sharing image. So say you have a team builder, you have a team event, maybe some community outreach, or maybe you're a contractor and you've put together a before and after picture. You can combine those into one image so that when you share on a place like Facebook or Twitter, you don't have to share both the images, but you have one really great looking visual side by side. With Layout, you can combine a bunch of photos together, as simple as 2, or you can get up to as many as you want. I want to say 8 to 10. But the great part about it is it all condenses into one image, so when you share it, it's all in one location.
Great. And Brad, we just had someone comment on a tool that they use called Pixabay. I haven't used it personally, but another interesting tool out there to help you create some really nice graphics and do it easily without a creative or designer degree. So again, a lot of great tools out there. All right, now we're going to transition a little bit to scheduling. So we've talked about creating great content. We've talked about tying a really strong, great image to that and branding that image to your company. Now we need to look at scheduling and when and where it makes sense. And really why do it? I mean, there are literally hundreds of places that you can post this content. Okay. By using a scheduling tool, you're going to be able to kind of organize all of this. And Tony, we use this for a lot of our clients. First, kind of explain why and talk about some of the advantages of using a scheduling tool as opposed to just doing this all manually in real time.
Well, you know, 2 of the keys that we stress as far as social media marketing are frequent and consistent posting. But unless that is your full focus of your job, it's hard to always find the time to do that, and it's hard to stay regular and keep it as the top priority that it deserves to be. So the scheduling software, what it really does is it allows you to take those windows of time that you may have over the course of the week, 1 to 2 to 3 times per week. You can sit down and schedule posts for a few days in advance. It's perfect for weekend posts. So, even if social media is your full-time job and you're going away for the weekend, or you just don't have time on Saturday and Sunday, you can sit down on Friday and schedule some posts to your company to go out over the course of the weekend so that you stay in front of your target audience. And along that same thinking, it's great for holiday posts. It's great for late night posts. So depending on when your audience is out there and engaging with your brand, you can sit down during the course of your day when you have time and schedule the posts to make sure that they are in front of your audience at the best times.
Yeah, and if you had the chance to listen to our last webinar on social media, we talked a lot about scheduling and what the best time and day and everything else is, and really how to find that out for your business. But what we found is that for most businesses, the best time of day to post on Facebook is usually between 8 and 10 at night. So unless you want to be sitting on your couch posting things manually, use one of these scheduling tools. It's going to make your life so much better, and it's really going to allow you to optimize your social posts to hit when your audience is most active. So very important. And Tony, the two that we generally run across are Buffer and Hootsuite. So talk about what you prefer.
Yeah, as far as the two tools, use them both, and it really depends. I would say, as far as which one someone might choose to use, it really depends on the purposes behind why they're using it. Buffer is great as more of a simple content publisher and scheduler. If you're looking to put things out, a few days in advance, you got some good content, you want to keep it flowing, Buffer is great. Hootsuite is a little more in depth. It's more of kind of an overall social management tool where you can do a little bit more with your profiles. You can get more involved in follows and likes and doing all the things that take place within your social media management. So it kind of depends on what your main purpose for it is and what you expect to use it for. But they're two great tools that are worth checking out if you're looking to start getting into scheduling some of your posts.
Great. Yeah, and again, with both of these, there's a free version, there's a paid version. Paid version opens up more opportunity, but the free version is great as well. So personally, I like Buffer just because the interface is just so clean and easy and simple to use. Hootsuite's great too, but again, I like the simplicity of Buffer. All right, so those are some of the scheduling tools that we like. Now I want to focus on some other tools or tactics that really drive home results almost immediately. And the first I want to discuss is called remarketing or retargeting. And basically it's a way to be way more strategic with how you spend your online advertising dollars. So the way that this works, and I mentioned earlier that we've probably all been a victim or been involved in remarketing by a company without necessarily knowing how or why. So the way it works is a visitor comes to your website, comes to your business, maybe flips through a few pages on your website, doesn't complete an order, doesn't get to your contact page to reach out to you, doesn't convert. That visitor leaves. Okay. If you did nothing else and they didn't actively come back to your website, it's a lost opportunity. You're not staying in front of those people because you have no way to stay in front of them. You don't know exactly who it was. Well, with remarketing, that visitor comes to your website, they land on your website, a little cookie or a tracking token is placed on their machine. Now we know who they are. Now we can begin marketing to them. And we do this through Google's ad network and also through Facebook. So using Google's ad network, there are publishers all across the internet that serve up Google ads to make money. Okay, these are newspaper sites like Buffalo News, New York Times. They're very reputable sites like Forbes magazine. They're very niche sites. So websites all across the internet serve up Google's ads. You can begin making sure that your brand stays in front of your prospects. So you spent all these time and resources and energy driving people to your website. If they don't convert the first time, you use remarketing to consistently stay in front of them. We do this internally here for ourselves for Barker Marketing. So as you're out on the internet, if you've come to our website before, and most of you probably have, you'll begin seeing our brand in front of people. And we use it as purely a branding tool. Okay, we're not using this as a direct sales tool. We just want to remind you that we're here. We're a partner. If you need anything, if you need some marketing support, we're happy to help. But we're keeping our brand and our message in front of an audience that already expressed an interest in us. This is a great way to stay in front of those C and D prospects and get them into that A and B category. It's a great way to get those A and B prospects to pull the trigger and convert and do business with you. So really effective. I have companies that are spending maybe $200 a month and they're reaching 20 or 30,000 people each and every month that have already expressed an interest in their business. And here's an example of where some things show up. Okay, so in the back there, Facebook advertising, you see some ads on the left-hand column. This is showing up. Tony pulled these screenshots for us. This is showing up because he was on Amazon and he was looking at ladders, and this specific ladder too. So now this is showing up in his Facebook advertising on the right. It's showing up directly in his Facebook feed. It's showing up on other websites all around the internet, and it's increasing the likelihood that he's going to purchase that ladder because it's in front of him all the time. The other thing that we're doing is remarketing directly in people's news feeds. So let's say you have a customer database list, or you purchased or acquired an email database from some list company. You can actually upload that into Facebook and begin targeting just those people on that list. Okay, Facebook will cross-reference their internal database, scrape those email addresses, and then you can begin marketing to people at home when their defenses are down and stay in front of them all the time. Okay, the key is to not be too salesy. But if you look on the right here, we did this for our own webinar here. Okay, we have a great list of business professionals that we want to do business with. We upload that into Facebook, and we just stay top of mind with people and increase the likelihood that they're going to reach out to us. My ad here reached almost 1,200 people. I want to say I spent maybe $5, if that. Very effective. And now, Tony, I mentioned it earlier, email marketing. It's kind of the forgotten child, but one that is extremely effective.
Yeah, and in fact, if if anyone on this call wants to check out the Barker site, we have a lot of blog articles regarding email marketing, and there's really a simple reason for that. It's very effective. Email is not dead, despite what some of you may have heard, and really the stats and some of the items here on this graphic definitely back that up. And some of the things that we see here, 74% of adults that are online prefer email as their main method of communication. So over Facebook Messenger and over Twitter, they prefer to get their communication via their email. 72% of adults check their email 6 or more times per day. So people are on there. People are still anxious, or I should say eager and excited when new messages come into their inbox. And if you are an organization that's sending out emails, then you can have that excitement on their end when you send something to them as well. Now I hear, a lot of people will ask about millennials. Millennials or young adults, we've also seen studies, one study by Adestra in particular says that 73% of millennials choose email as their preferred communication when hearing from a business. So email is far from dead, and with the popularity of it with the millennial group, it's going to continue being an effective tool going forward. So it's something that we definitely recommend you take a look at for your marketing. A couple of the tools that are out there, MailChimp, and then we offer one called Barker Mail. So just like the other areas that we've discussed, these are great tools that can help automate your email marketing programs. They really make it easy for you. In the case of Barker Mail, we provide the content, we manage the articles, We can track all the results for you, and then we can change the way we're doing things, obviously based on the results and the analytics. MailChimp, it's great from a self-service standpoint. You can go in and use the templates to create your emails, upload your lists, schedule your sends, and again, you can track some of the statistics there as far as opens, clicks, unsubscribes, etc. So again, with email marketing as well, there are tools out there to make your life easier and make your digital marketing more automated, and like we said before, help you work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and what's great about email marketing is everything's tracked. So if somebody's clicking on an article, if they're clicking on an offer, if they're clicking on a product, you know exactly who clicked on it, and you can be way more targeted in your follow-up sales activities. So really, really great tool. We use it internally here. Our clients that use it find great success in using it and reaching and engaging with their audience. So today we outlined a bunch of tools that you can use, many of them free, most of them free, that you can use internally there to have a great marketing plan, great marketing strategy, great marketing tactics. The challenge that many of our clients run into, though, is that they're limited on time, they're limited on resources. They know that they can do this, but they just don't have time to get everything done, or it distracts from other activities that are more core to their job function. So while we love sharing information on how to do it yourself, we also want to remind you that we're here to help. We can do everything that we've just covered for you. We offer several different programs in which we'll write and generate content. I mentioned earlier we have 50 different writers who work with our clients on coming up with the right messaging, with the right articles, with the right content, that original content. We have some clients that we create and maintain all of their social profiles, from building their audience to actually engaging with their audience and sharing content. So we offer services as a whole or a la carte to really pitch in and help where you need it. And as you saw that chart that I showed earlier, we get great results. We track all of this, we report on key conversions, and we stay on top of all of this so that we adjust your strategy and your plan to get the best results. All right, that's my big sales pitch there. I do want to invite you to join us on our next webinar, and we're going to open it up for questions here in a minute. We had a lot of questions come in, but our next webinar is going to offer 25 innovative sales and marketing ideas for your business. Okay, these are 25 things that either we've run across that other businesses are doing, or we're doing for our clients that we don't see a lot of people doing in the market, that are really, really effective at generating visibility, generating engagement, and driving results, driving sales. So be sure to join in there. You can sign up at barker.com/webinars. We also have recordings of all of our past webinars there. So if you missed one in the past, or you want to go check out that social media webinar that I mentioned earlier, you can find that recording there. And the recording of today's webinar will be posted there in just a few days as well. Now, with that said, wanted to jump over and answer some questions, both that came in before the presentation and that came in during the presentation. If you have questions, feel free to enter those in the question box to the right, or reach out to us individually, and I'd be happy to answer those. But let's dig into some of these. So the first one, what analytics tool do you prefer? Brad, I'm going to pitch this one over to you because you mentioned it in the presentation already.
Yeah, I think Google Analytics is essential. If you're posting content on your blog and featuring different types of articles and resources across your website, you need to have analytics on your site to not only understand how people are getting to that content, but to also understand what they're doing after they consume that content. So hands down, Google Analytics is the best tool to measure results.
Terrific, thanks. And I'm going to combine these next two. So can I use photos that I find via Google? Nope. Don't do it. Don't put yourself in for the potential to get sued or have a legal litigation, we mentioned some of those tools out there to get those online photos. Go out and get them. You can use Google search, and if you adjust and only search for Creative Commons and photos that are licensed for commercial reuse, you can find those through Google, and those are free to use. Internally here, we do pay for photo subscriptions. We pay quite handsomely for that, but the benefit is that our clients get access to those photo libraries. So, and by access, I mean if we're posting content on your behalf, we can use all those photos and it's not costing you anything more. So we go through and we use a variety of images from Getty Images, from iStockPhotos.com. So there's a lot of great images. We do like iStock. It has some really nice images. And there's some other resources out there too. Adobe has a photo library where many of the images are $1. There's a website out there called Canva. C-A-N-V-A. It's a design tool and a photo library. Many of those images are $1. So there's some great resources out there. Brad and Tony, if you can think of any others, shout those out.
Fotolia is another example. You can get some good imagery there for a pretty decent price.
And that's Fotolia. It's F-O-T-O-L-I-O, right?
I-A, correct.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
You got the F at the beginning.
Yes. That was close.
And I was just going to reiterate again Pinterest, just because I think that's a great tool as far as getting content, getting some graphics. And then you mentioned Canva, and that is one that I use quite a bit. And yeah, I do think that that's a great place to go.
Perfect. We mentioned earlier, what's your favorite scheduling tool? I think the consensus across the board here is Buffer. We really like it. Easy, simple to use, just a great tool. It's got this great plugin that you can attach to your internet browser or Chrome browser, where when you want to share a piece of content or share a page, just click that button. It automatically opens up your Buffer account, feeds it in. Just really nice tool. The next question here is, what is the best, and this actually came in during our presentation here too, what's the best day and time to post to social outlets? And the answer is, it depends. There isn't a specific one-time fits-all for every platform out there that's going to work for you. What we suggest doing is looking at each of your social platforms. So look at Facebook, look at Twitter, look at LinkedIn. Facebook in particular has a great feature called Insights. So if you have a Facebook page, click on Insights, and then from there you can find out when your audience, the people that follow you, are most active. It'll show you by day and it'll show you by time. If I was to give you a blanket time on Facebook, like I mentioned earlier, during the week from that 8 to 10 p.m. period we usually see the highest activity. Okay, so use those scheduling tools like Buffer to make sure that your posts publish at those key times. Twitter's a little bit different. What I'd suggest doing there is publishing at several times throughout the day and on different days, seeing what resonates, seeing if you can find anything. With LinkedIn, what we have found is that most people are active on LinkedIn more during business hours, especially in the mornings. So even 7 to 9. I would get in the habit of posting then. Again, test, try different times, but that seems to work really well. And also what we found on LinkedIn, if you're doing B2B sales, it's perfect. What you don't want to do is post too often to LinkedIn, because what happens is the more that you post, you're kind of superseding your previous post. So we were in the habit of posting a few times a day or several times a week, once a day. What we were finding is that we were getting less overall impressions for each post because we were stealing impressions from our last post. So generally what we do on LinkedIn is post at the most every other day. So there's just a real quick tip for you. Another question that we got, and something that kind of came in throughout the presentation, similar question, is how do I go about finding whether or not my website is performing well? Somebody asked, how do I go about finding if my SEO is up to speed? And then another question came in about the setup of their Facebook page. Now, all of these kind of fall into evaluating and analyzing and looking at your overall online marketing strategy. So I'm going to throw two tools out there for you. One is called websitegrader.com. It's a tool, an analysis tool that HubSpot, a web platform company, a marketing automation platform company, put out. It's really nice at getting a kind of holistic look at how things are going. The drawback to it is that you're going to get a lot of information that you're not going to know what to do with. And the other thing is, a lot of times these tools will use scare tactics. So they'll go out and they'll find any tiny little detail that's wrong or could be improved with your strategy and make it look like a big issue. Don't get scared off by these, okay? There's no website out there that's going to score 100. Okay? In fact, most of them score 50 or lower. So if you use these tools and you see that score, don't let it be a scare tactic. Don't get too scared. But sit down with somebody that knows and look at it and see what really is an issue, what really does need to get fixed. And the other tool that I wanted to mention is Remarketing. And not to sound self-serving, but we do this constantly for our clients and constantly for our prospects. And we have a freestanding offer out there. We're happy to sit down with you and run a report using a variety of different tools we have here and give you feedback on what's working and what isn't working. We'll share ideas and things that you could be doing on your own and things that we could help supplement with, and we'll give you the cost, and then you can decide what you want to do with it. But I think running those reports at least twice a year makes a ton of sense. It's going to highlight areas where you can improve. It's going to highlight areas in which you're doing good and you should be doing more of. And it's going to give you a real nice look at how your business is performing online. So if you're interested in that free analysis, free estimate, reach out and let us know. You can send an email through to info@barker.com, B-A-R-Q-A-R, and we'll be sure to run one of those reports. And honestly, it'll probably be myself, Tony, or Brad that's going to run that report. And we'll even, if you want, schedule time to kind of walk you through it to show you what makes sense addressing and what doesn't, to make sure that your marketing dollars and time and your internal resources are spent appropriately. So again, thank you so much for joining us for today. We hope that you can join us next month for 25 great ideas for your business, and don't be shy. If there's anything that we can help with to support your internal efforts there, please let us know. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.